Order the regular council meetings of the corporation of the township of Brunel, Lindop and Raglan, the 7th day of January, 2026 at 7:02 p.m. As we gather this evening, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of this council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history. We are extremely grateful for the many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We'll do the roll call. Councillor Banks.
Here.
Councillor Kaufeld. Here. Councillor Keller.
Here.
Councillor Quad.
Present.
Okay, so we have a resolution to adopt an agenda that reads that we, the council for the corporation of the township of Brunel, Lindop and Raglan, adopt the agenda as amended to include item 9.3, review of the waste management bylaw. Could I get a mover for that, please? Councillor Banks, seconded by Councillor Quad. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
No.
I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest with anything on the agenda for any members?
Not by me.
None. Mayor's address, well, we just got through the holiday season. Hope everybody's was enjoyable. Wish you a happy new year. I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. I had a email today from the warden, Jennifer Murphy, that the tower up at Letterkenny at Ronnie Hartwig's is operational. So that's really good to know. So hopefully, I've never ever received notice before that any of our towers were.
Is the one at Lake Ormond operational?
I don't know. I'm going to find out about that. There's the one at.
Should be the one on the county track.
Pardon?
It should be the one that's on the county forest track that's operational. There's the new towers on the county forest.
Okay.
That's the one that's operational.
Okay, so it's, but I don't think there's county forest in Brunel, not up there. And I'm not.
Looks like a little iron.
Is operating.
Yeah. That
Oh, is
was,
that the one on Little Line? What about the one at, Glen Lidke's? I see the lights are on.
I don't know, I'm gonna find out and get a report on the status of all the towers in our boundaries.
Well, I know
It's
there's the one across from, Lidke there, what's his name?
Glen,
No,
Reg,
no,
This way, Murray's.
Murray Lidke's. There's one right across from there, but it's not
Yeah,
up.
just under the power, I think.
Oh, were they?
well, I know that there's power to the one at Doris Paul's,
Okay.
but I don't know whether.
It's lit up, but I don't think Ronnie's is lit.
Well, I
It's
got
not,
the
it's not, I
email
don't know if
today,
it's
so I don't
operational,
know.
yeah.
But
I
it
didn't
said
see
it
a
was
signal tonight.
operational.
Hmm.
And,
Be nice.
Oh, that's what Hydro was doing, you know, going up on that little. Okay.
I got, an interesting piece of correspondence about the, grants that were received for the fire departments for protecting firefighters. Do you know how those amounts were arrived at?
Based on active fire halls and number of members, I believe it was. And
Because,
we applied for, we had an idea what our max was and we applied for about the max, so.
okay, because we got the third highest amount in the county.
Yes,
Because we have more hour stations with.
Oh.
just shy of $65,000.
Yeah,
Oh, is that right? That's
and
pretty good.
the two that beat us was, Whitewater got 86 and Norfolk and Wilberforce got 53. So I think we did really, really well.
Mhm.
Yep.
So, and that will be used for,
So it's based around firefighter cancer preventions, and this year they've added in EV stuff, so
Okay.
electric vehicles.
yeah,
So we're looking at purchasing some new bumper gear to replace some of the older stuff. A gear washer, that we can do our own washing and notes and a dryer. And some specialized foams and nozzles to put out EV fires.
Nothing to do with respiration.
And nothing on that one. So we upgraded our SCBA last year, so we're not expecting.
And it's a lot better too.
And,
Well,
no.
that's good. I thought that was really interesting. I heard what how the alliance said that.
Yeah.
And, other than that, I don't have too much to report. The county, we're doing budget at the end of the month. We've got today's booked. So that's it. First report.
Nothing to report other than, at the next regular meeting of council on February 4th, we will be a public meeting at 6:30.
I'm sure you remind us. Okay, delegations and presentations. I see we have Mr. Paul. And Lindsay from the county to talk about our zoning bylaw. I'm so excited. 26 years.
Oh, sure.
This one.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council, for having us here tonight. So as I said, it's been a long time coming. And I'll provide you with just a quick little brief background information and how we got here and then maybe a little bit of where we're going next. But then the majority of the presentation, Lindsay, who's a senior planner with the county director, she's been doing all the hard work in the background, also with a lot of help from our GIS staff that we also have. But for the background, all planning decisions and planning derives from the province. We have a very top-down approach in the province of Ontario. So the province passes the legislation and policies, then these policies are required to adopt policies that match that, and then those eventually trickle down to your bylaws, whether it's your zoning bylaw, property standards bylaw, any of those other bylaws, they all trickle down from provincially led initiatives. So what happens when the province makes changes is trickles down and eventually gets down to this level, which is why we're here. So a few years ago, the County of Renfrew official plan was updated. So that official plan is used by 10 of the local municipalities in the county as your local plan. So instead of 10 municipalities having their own separate plans and having to maintain those and keep them up, because these policies are often always very similar and not a lot of difference between municipal boundaries. Back in 2003, so before I worked for the county, the decision was made to sort of take all those municipalities, all those sort of rural official plans and combine them into one, just having to call it a county official plan, and those same municipalities would kind of share it. So when the county official plan was updated, that triggered a need for all the local municipalities under that official plan to use that official plan to update their zoning bylaws at the same time. So at the time we were thinking, hey, now we have 10 zoning bylaws that have to update. That's a big undertaking. So like, how do we do that in the most efficient way? And how can we do it in a way that we can sort of help out local municipalities, developers, ratepayers, CBOs? We found like we have a lot of people who do work in multiple municipalities, whether it's just chief building official doing multiple different municipalities or developers wanting to build in different municipalities. So we thought not only is if it works for an official plan that's similar, we can try to do it with zoning bylaws. So what we did was come up with sort of like a template version of a zoning bylaw that matched the new updated official plan, so that we weren't trying to recreate 10 new zoning bylaws. It was like, here's one templated zoning bylaw, and then we can tailor it and tweak it to the local municipality where it needs to be tweaked. So in the background, we have been working with township staff and tailoring a bylaw using a sort of like the county template as like sort of the base document, and then tailoring it to match some of the needs of the local municipality. And so what Lindsay's going to present to you today is sort of the first draft that as staff we've come up with, saying, here you go, this is what we have come up with so far, but there are a couple of key items that we'll say they're often discussed quite a bit at your public meetings or open houses, but also really depends on council. We're looking for you to give us your direction, how these provisions work best for your township. So Lindsay will go over some of those highlights and try to actually get your direction if possible as to what provision you want to start with. Doesn't mean that we're going to end with this, because there is, under the Planning Act, before you can adopt a new zoning bylaw, there is a requirement to hold an open house and a public meeting. but we have to have a place to start with the public, to start that conversation. So that's what we're looking for now, is just to essentially get councils. We're inform you what's in that bylaw, because it ultimately is your township bylaw, but also get your direction as to say, okay, this is where we want to start at. And then we'll initiate those public houses in a public meeting. And after those are done, we'll get comments back from the public and see how they feel about it. And then if we want to make any more changes or adjustments to it after we get the input, there's opportunity to change it again. So the direction or information that any decision that I made tonight, there's still time to go back and relook or reconsider it and have a deeper dive into it. But we just do need that starting place that we can go out to the public saying, here's the draft document to initiate that consultation. And then after that, then we can start. This is just the first step. Sorry, this is like the middle step. It's actually closer to the end than we started. There's a lot of work to do. But maybe I'll stop talking and turn it over to Lizzie, and she can sort of take you through some of the key highlights of this new bylaw that's being proposed.
So if there's any, I'm gonna just go based on some of the highlights that we think, that if there's something in there that you saw in there that you would like us to go over, definitely feel free to ask those questions. So there's definitely a big change from your last bylaw. So we had two that we were dealing with. So it has been updated, and those were, I think, were in the 80s.
They were pre-amalgamation or
Yeah.
something like that, so this is a big.
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, like definitely one was 83. So I'm like, oh, it's older than me. Be nice, and then for staff too, and even like us working with your bylaw, it's nice to have them in there, like we updated. So there's lots of definitions that are going to be new to your township, but we'll just go right to our general provisions section. So the first one, we've made some changes with township staff, but in the accessory uses.
It's a number point, so.
Yeah, so it is on page 39,
39?
3.2. So this is accessory uses, buildings and structures.
Just before Lindsay starts as well. So the bylaw is the most common used provisions are in like the general provisions, and these are the provisions that apply across the whole township, which is why you see today, they're like pretty much almost all the focus will be on these general provisions because they're sort of the most commonly referred to or use portions of the bylaw and have the most sort of like input that we're looking for council.
So is the goal to really kind of become more standardized across the county
That is definitely one of the
for
goals.
efficiency?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's easier for, if you mentioned people that are working in multiple townships or studios, whatever, it's standard and they don't have the set of rules here, that set of rules are.
Absolutely, and for builders as well, saying like I'm building a garage for this person, the same, you know, Brunel and Brighton has the same provisions or setbacks or. Right, so it's KHR. So definitely one of the.
Yeah, more ones, yeah, for sure, makes sense.
And sorry, jumping one more time, one of the other big changes, which isn't on the screen, but is your mapping. So you've probably seen the mapping from your current zoning bylaws or like hand drawn or like, you know, it's something. It's gonna be updated with all new digital mapping. So it's gonna be a bit like the main way that we see staff, in particular, especially your CBO. And hopefully referring members of the public too, is gonna be online. So it's gonna be digital version of it. So you can still have a PDF to print out, so you can still have a paper version of it. But it will be digital, people will be able to search it from their own homes. Being able to search by address or rule number, and it will take you right to your property. You can click on your property, your zone will pop up and you can click on it, it will take you right to the provision for zoning.
How soon do you plan to be there?
That part's actually the easy part. It's almost there.
So.
For the public meeting.
Yeah, it'll be ready for the public meeting.
Oh, yes. Very good.
It's nice for staff too, because there have been times that we've looked at properties and it's hard to tell in the old mapping what the property is zoned. So this is the way that you'll be able to click on it and now just. Yeah. All right, so the first one that is added new to your bylaw is about a sleep cabin. So it's just saying the size of a property that would be needed is 1 acre, and they're allowed to have a sleep cabin, but then it doesn't have a maximum, it has a maximum size.
So would that sleep cabin be able to have water in it and
So the way that this provision is drafted, it would not.
Okay,
So there are different provisions for, it's something that, you know, if council directed us otherwise, that we could look at. But the way that this is being treated, then it's more as been that classic part B where it's just an area to have a couple of lecture beds to sleep in. There's other provisions in the bylaw that have been opened up, and Moses is gonna get to them, called secondary dwellings, again, following that
Yeah,
provision.
different definitions.
so would there be a definition for sleep cabin then?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
That would specifically say what it can have.
But for this purpose here, it's intended to just be your classic small bunky.
Yeah, with
Without,
beds in it.
with beds in it, without cooking, water,
It's just the shelves.
just a shelter.
Extra rooms.
But then there's other provisions to allow a full-on secondary dwelling.
Like a garden
Like a garden suite.
Yeah.
I think so. Both are in it, yeah, sorry.
How long does it take you to look
Getting all the good parts.
Yeah.
So then the next one is just about shipping containers and storage containers. So we haven't stated that they are going to be permitted within the rural, commercial and industrial zones, provided that they meet certain setbacks. So they should have to comply with the accessory buildings setbacks that are the beginning of this section.
I see again about visual screening, so will that be optional or mandatory?
Well, it says it may include, so we have to, yeah.
So, and we are looking, like, these are provisions that are added, are ones that. If you have comments or would like something changed, absolutely let us know, like right now, and we can make the change before we go to the public, so. Some municipalities on this particular topic are all over the board.
Yeah.
So some say we do not want any shipping containers, and that will flow prohibition, others will say only in specific zones. Others, Amazon wrong, we just had a meeting with the council, and they said, we want to allow them with no type of screening.
Right.
So it's not, it is up to the township, so if you think that it doesn't quite work for your township and screening is over the top or unnecessary, it's something that we could pull out and make it more permissible for the.
So this one here is saying that they shall be visibly screened in number 2, and visual screening may include vegetation from fencing. So this is telling you
Okay,
that
we
it
shall,
has to
yeah,
be screened.
yeah, okay, so yes.
So if that's council's.
Yeah,
This is commercial, not residential.
So it's permitted in the rural zones
Those are rules.
and
Okay.
commercial and yes, it could be rural, which is
I mean, some of them is okay, but if you get into a place where you've got smaller lots and somebody puts one there and it turns into a junkyard and the neighbors are looking at it, I don't agree with that. The other property standards will probably kick in, but. Well, if you have somebody to enforce.
You have to block.
We have a property standards bylaw, it needs to be updated and we're working on by enforcement, so that could be addressed at a later date if you want to do the screening.
Yes, I would like to see the screening option then. For myself.
So the next one is on page 42, it's backyard chickens and urban agriculture. So this obviously is a new provision for your bylaw, so this is permissive, so it's allowing the backyard chickens to be kept on properties. So there's just a couple things that we have on here, so we don't limit the number of chickens where it's a farm, the location of the coop shall comply with the setbacks for accessory buildings. And also we have bees in there, so bees are permitted in all zones, provided that the lot has a minimum lot area of 0.2, which is half an acre in their setbacks within the house.
So what would you consider to be urban agriculture?
So that's the bees.
That's the bees, oh.
Yeah, so it's like, so backyard chicken and the bees, so
So
kind of a.
my backyard can have bees if I want, bees or chickens.
As long as.
Any urban.
It's allowing chickens and bees where it's not classed as a farm.
Right. Yeah.
So for example, could the people beside Iris's store have chickens?
Sure.
Hmm?
Sure.
If they're allowed to have chickens, it's just saying it's permitted as accessory. Bees have a.
Our neighbors in our fire, like right in town of our fire, bees and chickens. They were fine. I mean, it's.
There are other townships that have more, provisions in here about like roosters and so it's all depending on what you guys want.
I think that's a lot of them in the city.
Yeah. More urban areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad, like that, I'd be chickens and things.
We have chickens. We hear international crow all the time. We call them international.
The birds.
It doesn't crow just as one.
Yeah, they're not like,
Yeah.
is it, they're not looked after properly.
Yeah, the ducks used to run up and down the road, the hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of them got ran over on the bridge, poor ducks, but I mean, it was cute to see them around. It doesn't bother me.
I don't think chickens have ever been an issue here in the past, I don't think.
No.
I think we're gonna have more issues if we start adding a lot of screens to it. It's never been an issue, why make it now?
I just want,
Mhm.
Right, so next one is 3.9, it's on page 43. It's dwellings per lot, so this is where Bruce stole my thunder. So we're saying first that no more than one building shall be used as a dwelling, notwithstanding, you are allowed to have an additional dwelling unit. So for properties that are on full services, they have different provisions, so, and we don't have them in here because there's no services here. Always, if it ever happens in the future, we can, but so for properties without, full services, so ones that are well and septic, they are allowed to have a secondary or an additional dwelling unit in all zones that permit a single detached, semi-detached dwelling, a townhouse dwelling, unless it says it's prohibited elsewhere in the bylaw. And then there are certain criteria, so it depends on, so some of these provisions are based on the county official plan. So they shall only be permitted where there's adequate servicing, so then we have different, so whenever your minimum lot size of 0.8 hectares. So that's your minimum, sorry, is 0.8, and then you go for properties that are 2 hectares and less. They have to share the same water and septic. And then for properties that are greater than 0.4 and less than 0.8, they are usually with minor counts, like minor variance, and then they have to address the full policy and the commission plan. And then there's just some other policies here about when they're not considered to be a coach house, they're only allowed to have, they need to have 1 parking space. And then it's just not within 30 meters of a watermark and pretty straightforward provisions, but.
Yeah, this is one that's following the convention direction, so the province came and said, we want more housing, and there used to be a limit, they used to say we want to have limited growth in the rural area, and now they said, do what, we allow 2 dwellings per lot, provided that they can be adequately serviced, so the way that the provisions were is that, yeah, based on your lot size, what you can do or not, so if you have less than 1 acre or 0.4 hectares, if your property is smaller than that, the answer is no, it's too small or to have that type of density. If you are between that 0.4 and 0.8, that's between 1 and 2 acres. You can do it as of right, but with a minor variance and getting a hydrogeological study done, showing to demonstrate that looking at what is the groundwater situation and what are the neighbors looking at, what's your soil type, and we make sure that we have enough infiltration and dilution to make sure that we're not adding too much density to affect the groundwater. If that study comes back positively, then a secondary dwelling would be permitted between that one on a property between 1 and 2 acres. If you have more than 2 acres, it's an automatic yes, you can do it. But you don't have to do a study, but you do have to, those dwellings have to share the same services. You can't have 2 septics and 2 wells, they have to be all one. But if you have more than that, is it 2 hectares? Yeah, more than 2 hectares, so that 5, if you hit that 5 acre mark, then you can have 2 dwellings, 2 wells, 2 septic systems. As of right, you don't need any extra special permissions, just come and get it all, and you can build 2 dwellings on your property.
And they cannot be severed. You can't sever off an additional dwelling unit.
Even after it's built, like.
Never.
So
Why not?
I just could see complications with that, with personnel.
Yeah, I was
Something
thinking,
like that.
if I had 10 acres and I had a second dwelling on, I sever off a chunk off the 10 acres.
So if you wanted to do that in the future, I would recommend severing it off first. So
So
if
I was just gonna ask, it'd be better to sever it off first than, wait until you start fuming and everything else.
if you had 10 acres, you could sever it off and then kind of you have 4, right? You get 2 on each.
Or you run into the problem that I ran into where property, a bigger piece of property was severed down to 2 lots. And then there were some small lots taken off of one piece, but the other piece of land, now there's too many severances on that one large piece of property. So I couldn't sever the land that I have because people didn't build on the other properties, which had nothing to do with me, but I can't do anything with mine.
Right.
So I could build a second property and then the county said, well, maybe if it's there, so I would have to go ahead, or I'd have to go through a subdivision.
Something like that.
So if I had 10 acres of land
Mhm.
and I have a house.
Mhm.
And somebody else wants to build a house on it, and you could have full septic and water and all of. And they built it so that you could have technically each have 5 acres with house.
Mhm.
So you're saying if we did that, you couldn't sever off that other 5 acres where that house was built?
So if you're building a secondary dwelling unit,
Yeah,
it cannot be severed from, it's meant to be a secondary, it's one owner of that property and you have it. So if you had plans to eventually have them separate, then do it first. So if that property qualifies for a severance and you're allowed to sever that property and then
In
have
advance.
in advance.
doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, I wonder what the rationale is, why is that?
So the main part is, so the goal was to. There's competing interests. So one of them is to limit rural growth. So the main part is where the province wants to be grow is highway into your settlement area. So try to compact and keep everybody as tight as possible, more efficient for servicing and providing, other different, services to your local residents. And so you're limited to how many services you can get. So the province also recognized that housing is a need. And especially for whether you have, aging parents or kids that coming back home, it actually becoming more common than aging names that are growing. And then also people want to turn their properties into income. So it is intended to provide more flexibility to people using their property to whether it's housing for their own family or for generating income. That is intended, it's not intended to create additional lots or more property fabric out there. So there's a couple of reasons why in a rural area you don't want to do that. One of the reasons is every time you sever off a lot, you're fragmenting land. You guys don't have very much of the prime agricultural land, so that's not really as much of a concern for use for that agricultural land, but there are other resources in the rural area, whether it's your forestry uses, your agriculture, whether you have 2 big ones or even mining. You guys have some mining resources as well. So every time you start fragmenting the land, you're introducing additional more and more property ownership and more potential conflicts with those rural uses or the ability to use those resources in the future. So by not having it as a separate property, you're limiting the amount of potential conflict with those other uses up there.
And I'm just curious if our township didn't agree with that, could we take that off?
So this is actually kind of, this is trickled down.
That's what
So this is like the way that this is worded is right from the policy.
Yeah, they changed that a couple of years ago.
It's top down. I looked at the potential of it.
So and then so if your property qualifies for a severance, you're allowed to get a severance, then that's what we recommend. If you want to be able to sell them separately, because this is a big investment, then sever a property or in fact, you can build your dwelling on that. And if those properties qualify for secondary dwellings, then you can get secondary dwellings on those as well.
And what about pre-existing, what if somebody already has 2 houses and
Then that restriction does not apply. Yeah, if you pre-existing had 2 dwellings in the property, then there's possibility to get a big, we see it all the time where, especially in waterfront areas or cottages, like there's, family bought it, built 2 cottages back in the day before some of these restrictions came in place, then yes.
So yes, build more houses in densely populated areas and don't build too many extra houses in the.
Yeah.
It puts a burden on the other social, certainly other services, right? That's kind of what the problem is.
And they've gone, but you guys don't have any, like, urban parcels that are fully serviced land, but the problem is change the rules for urban, fully serviced properties, you can have 3 dwellings as a limit. Without any type of use going to go.
Yeah, a friend of mine's going through that in Carlton, doing the same thing. On another piece of property, they're gonna have 3 because it's service.
Because service.
Yeah.
Is there any questions on that? Please, before we move on, or? So it is a big change. It actually opens it up. So right now, instead of limiting all the rural properties or people to 1 dwelling per lot, they're gonna be qualified, well, many of them qualify for 2 dwellings per lot if they choose to. It's not gonna be either 2 dwellings in 1 house, like, 2 units in 1 house or 1 building, or it could be 2 separate buildings, whatever works best for the property owner if they choose to do that.
So you can't sever it and give the land to your children. If the land isn't able to be severed, you can build a bunch of houses for your kids, and you can't sever them on it. So you have to live in a common.
That would be very interesting.
But I mean, that's the thing, like, if you have 20 acres of land, you could build 4 or 5 houses on it, but you're gonna own the 4 or 5 houses and you can't ever do anything with it. Your kids have to all get along if they're gonna live there.
Okay, so the next one is 3.17, it's on page 50. So this is one that we need council.
Can we just go back to 3.9.2 about, sensitive lakes or near, or capacity? Yeah, is that not dictated by M&R?
The lakes are, yes, so the MNR says which lakes are considered at capacity.
Okay.
So you have Carson Lake and White, right?
No.
Carson is like
Charlotte.
Charlotte, that's those, right, yeah. There, yeah. So right in the White Lake and Charlotte Lake are prior to at capacity lakes.
Yeah.
So those waterfront on those 2 lakes do not qualify for having a distant dwelling.
Yeah. Then 300 meters, so there's a huge lot.
Okay, so this one is regarding mobile homes and recreational vehicles. So we have in here now, this is for your, so let us know which way you want to go. So mobile homes are prohibited in all zones other than a rural zone and a mobile home park zone. In the rural zone, 1 mobile home may be permitted as a secondary, second accessory dwelling to accommodate farm help, and a mobile home shall not be permitted as a residence. And then we're gonna go down to 3.17.3. So no recreational vehicle shall be occupied unless it's located within a recreational campground. Then notwithstanding that provision, for a period up to 3 years, a recreational vehicle is permitted to be occupied if it's incidental to building construction on the premises, so long as it's necessary to work working on the house, or it hasn't been finalized or abandoned. And then the next one is that all zones in which a dwelling is permitted as a principal use, 1 recreational vehicle may be used for temporary living or sleeping accommodation for no longer than 30 days in a calendar year and 14 days consecutively for persons in transit between one place and another, and it can't be used, it can't be leased or rented.
So this is saying that if someone has a lot or has property and they have an RV, a recreational camper on it, and they use it in the summer to go stay near the water, but it's there, like it never moves, that won't allow that?
So it's saying it's allowed to be used for not longer than 30 days. So
But they would use it
yeah,
on and off over,
90 days.
over longer than that.
yeah, so this is.
May, June, July, August, September.
So there's 2 choices in here, right? There's 2 options out there to pick from.
Well, no, this is the one that you need, we just were looking for.
It won't allow, because like this, I'm thinking of one in particular that's near the river. And it never moves. Like they have a deck built on it and they've got sheds there and they use it as a cottage.
So that, this provision would not allow that to occur in the future.
Okay, well, that's gonna be a big,
Yeah, so this is why it's, we're going to have this discussion with council, so this is another one where councils, municipalities across the county differ. Most have a prohibition saying, no, you can't use RVs on lots and you have to build an actual dwelling. There's a number of reasons for why they decide to go that way, such as, RVs that do not contribute to your tax base, they're not taxed. The look of them, often neighbors complain about how they look compared to actual Nile versus a cottage. There's concerns because they're not hooked up to an approved septic system a lot of times, what's happening with their water and wastewater. And also a lot of times they're not hooked up to hydro, so they have a generator, so there's money in place and it's coming out. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why municipalities choose to not allow them. And some version that we've drafted here for just, again, starting discussion, we're open to looking for council's direction on what you want us to do. So you can either just allow them outright, prohibit them outright, or there's a sort of like the in-between option of allowing sort of temporary use of them, but not intend to be a replacement as opposed to a cottage.
because I can think of a few in particular that are hooked up to water and sewer and hydro, so, but yeah, that's something consistent.
So grandfathered in, this would be in the future, so things are already in place that they're grandfathered. That's fair, sorry. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is down the road.
Yes.
So we are looking, so this is sort of a draft right now, so if you have a preference of one way or the other, whether you like the way that's drafted now, we move forward with how it's drafted. Or if you'd like us to make any changes, let us know and we can make those changes to it. Either allow it without any type of restriction on timing or prohibit it.
Well, the thing is, for me, I think I'd leave it as is, and then after the public comment period and the public meetings, if we deem that there's enough changes at that time, we can make it. I mean, like you said, this is a starting point for us, right?
So when do you want to finalize this?
Well, it's up to council for when you're comfortable with the draft, you move forward with public consultation. So we're just looking for essentially council's either input now into that draft to bring forward public consultation, but it doesn't need to be finalized till after the public meeting.
Okay, so the county doesn't have a deadline.
No.
It's up to us.
That is up to you.
So if we would consider allowing it, could you stipulate that they would have to have septic and water and electricity? So that,
You can build in your own provisions. Right?
yeah,
We can put that in place. We could say, I've got this inspector and this done, and these are the provisions to allow it, but.
Because I was always under the assumption, even a recreational trailer. I just forget, I'd have to look back, but there's 5 things, and as long as you met 3 of those 5 things, your recreational vehicle becomes taxed. I don't know if that's true or not.
that would depend on what type of, like if you got a 3-season, that's, maybe 45 or 50 feet long and 12 feet wide, then you can't just hook onto it and tow it.
Well, that's the thing, I mean, if you're running your road, if it's up the height, or if you have a septic, it's not a recreational vehicle anymore, it's a dwelling.
But if we're talking about a 30-foot RV, that's your standard width. If they're hooked into hydro and sewer and water, all you do is pull out the sewer pipe, pull out the plug and disconnect the hose and you hook onto it and go. So there's different stipulations for what we are.
Would council have the choice to change the 30 days in a calendar year and 14 days consecutively?
Absolutely.
Ensure states if they want.
It's up to us we have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Those are all open for.
It's just an example.
Yeah, right now, it's just a kind of a guideline.
But I don't think we want to put in that it could be used as a principal use. It would be a temporary use, right?
So it's saying this, where it's permitted in zones where a dwelling isn't permitted.
Okay, yes.
So this was the big topic for Bosher Valley, which is getting appealed to the old Ontario Land Tribunal right now.
Oh, I know.
So this is so the municipalities, like, it's can be a very passionate topic.
Contentious, right?
So people have opinions on both sides of whether they want them as or not. And so ultimately it is the township decision. This is one of those areas that is not dictated by the province. This is not one of those trickle down things from the province that where you say, hey, you have to do this. This is, well, the municipality's jurisdiction for how best fits your repairs and your needs of your municipality.
I think if we massage that section to take out no longer than 30 days and 14 days consecutively, that might. So then there's permitted all the time. Well, we wouldn't, the ones I'm thinking of wouldn't be used in the winter.
But you'd have to write the bylaw in a way that there's no gray areas, like, so you
Yeah.
need to.
Well, how does council feel on that? Because you think about how many people we have that come, like, and stay in a recreational vehicle in the summer, on the weekends, or on their holidays.
Yeah, weekends, like, see, people pulling in and out is one thing. If you have a property where that
Yeah.
just becomes your cottage, that's what that will.
That with, and they use the RV until they get to the point where they'll build. Cause they own the land. It's not that they're just pulling in on property and parking.
Well, there's what, 3 or 4 down there on that little point there, as you're coming into Palmer. He's got what, 4 trailers there?
Or I think one of them is a sleep trailer.
But, yeah, and they're all jacked up.
They're permanent, they sit there all the time.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
There's lots of them, and that's where you have to look at, do you wanna collect taxes on that, and how do you work the bylaw to determine whether you wanna collect taxes like it's a permanent structure, or what do you wanna do?
Chances are. They won't be building a permanent structure
Not
for
there.
years. You know, maybe when they retire.
So the bylaw does have a provision built in for sort of temporary use, your old one that, or some, I think it's, right? I'm sorry, go down the middle there. Right there, 317.4, so you are allowed to have it as of right without that limitation for a period of 3 years, so if somebody buys the property and wants to put a trailer on it for a period of 3 years while they go and build their dwelling, that's already written into 317.4. The rest of it is for more of a situation where somebody wants to come in and temporarily use it, whether, I have, for example, I have in-laws with a big RV and they'll want to come in and hang and visit us for a week. And so, what's the big deal? If they want to go to their RV and hang in their driveway for, we don't want these. I think that would be acceptable. To me, that's acceptable use. If they were to, if I wasn't there and they just pulled in and installed it and started using that as a cottage and started building something, I can see my neighbors not appreciating that so much.
And that's different because it's, you're in a residential area, but I'm talking about people that have 20 acres on the river.
Well, there's, I can use example, there's a 1/4 acre lot, or maybe it's a 1/2 acre lot, I don't even know, 1/4 acre lot on the lake with a trailer with a roof built over top of it.
Yeah, I was referring to like waterfront lot.
Yeah.
That's a full-time situation.
Yeah.
Well, they don't live there full-time, it's a full-time cottage for them.
Yeah.
As opposed to building a common.
Mhm. Yeah,
Pay the security taxes.
they pulled in the trailer and threw up just put a roof over top of it, the
Yeah.
chip truck has them. Yes, they have hydro, I'm not sure what they use for septic or water, I have no idea.
Anyway, I don't know what council's feeling. You don't mind?
Well, the idea in the old days of trailers where you didn't pay taxes. Right, wasn't it, well, so you're not paying taxes, and it's got wheels on it, you could avoid the taxes, that was one of the big recreational trailer things in the old days, like trailer parks, and was a sound feature for trailers. We'll have to ponder it a bit, I think.
Did you wanna leave it as is right now?
Mhm.
Cause this is the bylaw we're gonna take to the public.
Leave it as is and get public feedback and go from there.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
Perfect.
There may be even some new ideas that come to them, so. Yeah. What's happening?
So the next one is on page 54, it's 3.26. So this is just regarding separation distances. So these are measurements that we can't change, so it's from the province, so it's just, we don't have this in, I don't think, in the current bylaw. So C and D are related to mineral pits and mineral pit reserve. So an active pit and then the reserve, and then as well as for a quarry and a reserve. So it's, you can't have sensitive use within 300 meters of MP and then 500 meters of the quarry. Then there is, just as a note, mineral I, so notwithstanding those two that I just mentioned, for a lot that includes a tolling as a permitted use and where the lot is entirely located within the separation distance of the agri resource, it won't apply. So they are, so it doesn't take away the right of people that have smaller lots entirely within that buffer. They are allowed to build on it. Just if you have a bigger property and you have some area inside the buffer, you can't build there unless you do an variance. So that's just what we want to flag, because that's new. So the next one is on page 57, and it's it's under setbacks, so it's F. So this is new, this is based on the county OP. So it just provides, so this little box here is just an explanatory note, it's not part of the bylaw, it's just to help people. It's just saying that's allowing the placement of specific structures. So right now, the water setback is 30 meters and we can't do anything. This is providing with an opportunity to do some small shoreline structures to be used closer to the water, so like a shed to store that you need, yeah, so it's just, and then, so there's just different policies in here, provisions that you have to meet in order to have, so like it says, the total area of all the shoreline structures shall not exceed 35 square meters, and then you also have to make sure to submit a sketch to show any of the dimensions of the existing shoreline. So it gives a little bit of flexibility. And then I guess the last one in this section is on page 61. It is 3.34. And on to the next page. So this is just setbacks and the separation distance for any licensed cannabis production. And then based on the size, it just gives the setback as the separation distance that's required.
That's the way I have mobility. Forward this.
So these setbacks only apply to legal.
Oh.
Yeah,
Right.
Like the keyword in there was like.
You're okay.
You see.
So that was it for the general provisions section. We do have a new section on parking, but it's pretty self-explanatory. And then after the parking section, we get into each of the individual lot, the zones. So any questions on those?
We didn't see any true backfield parking.
More comments or questions from council?
I think we'll have a little bit more to talk about when we have a public meeting.
Yeah, I think once you have, first you do the consultation, so open house, the open house, yeah. So that's the next step in the process.
When would that be starting?
February 11th from 5 till 7 at the community center.
But that's not for us, right?
So we'll bring all the maps to that and we'll have them on boards so people can come and look at their map and have the online version too, so people will be able to even search properties. So that's just open house, there's no formal presentation at that meeting and we'll be sure to put that in this. And people can you just drop in to ask questions about the bylaw.
We actually encourage council to not go to that meeting, as opposed to you just saying, you're free to drop in as well, but we actually encourage council not to be there, just because it can create a different atmosphere, and also maybe put you in a position that
You don't
you're
have
the only one in necessarily, and the appropriate time for ratepayers to address you will be at that formal public meeting at that next council meeting, so it's just that open house is meant to be an opportunity for your ratepayers to come talk, ask questions, learn about the bylaw, see how it affects their property, and have that they can talk and ask questions directly to staff. We'll be there to answer any questions that we can. But any formal comments for council should be made at that appropriate public meeting session.
The public meeting will follow 7 days later on February 18th. 7 p.m. And is that suitable to have that public meeting here? Or would it be better to do that at the community center for
We're
space?
gonna need more space over there.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be there some, just in case.
Yeah,
Can I actually ask something, because I'm just wondering, and when I think of other meetings in the past, that 2 issues have come up that I didn't see in the document, but could have sworn that's the document, so much detail. One is there was a request for a noise bylaw. So I think we don't have one in our area, right? I remember that was requested by a delegate and we're talking about that. Answer that piece.
yeah, but that's a totally different.
Right, so through you, Mayor, so it is, you're right, it's a completely different bylaw, it's not contained under the zoning bylaw.
Yeah.
One provision that has been added, or I'm sure that you spoke to, I was on the screen, up to the rural provisions, the permitted uses under the rural zone. You'll see something new there.
Well, no.
Well, we go on first. Right there, oh, right there, yeah, right there, so it's the very last bullet point, community uses.
Especially that.
Special events. So, a lot of municipalities will have a special event bylaw specifically. So, and then, so that would allow something like a concert, or most frequently used would be like a big wedding. If family wants to have a big wedding, have campers and things like that. So it would allow them to approach municipality saying, hey, we'll have a special event and on my farm or my rural property, wherever it is. And this would allow them to do that, provided they meet the township's requirements for whatever it is. If there's already a noise bylaw, you have a special events permit, maybe should they have the appropriate, bring in porta potties and or the fire chief have the opportunity to review for any fire hazards or any
Especially.
We will be updating it.
Yeah.
So this provision would allow, without having to go through a zoning bylaw amendment, would allow rural property owners to host special events, but they would still have to meet their other bylaw requirements that are in place for the township.
So I guess maybe second thing was maybe it's more about bylaw and zoning issue is about the, there was a concern about animal neglect. Because.
Well, that's separate.
That's a separate.
Yeah. So there will be copies of this draft bylaw available for people to pick up here, or it could be emailed to them.
That's permitted.
Yes, by email, and it's a big thick book, so I'm not sure if the township wants to prepare.
No, yeah.
For everybody, but if somebody needed it that way, then that is an option to print it off and give it to them, but once we get the okay from you, we will sort of formalize the draft. And it will be available to the public to view, whether online or email to them or see it in the paper. Whichever way suits them best, it is a public document.
Yeah.
So for that non-resident use, it says, hunting and fishing camps. Does that mean I can't have a hunting camp on my property?
Depends on where your property is zoned and where you're located.
Okay, well,
It'd be so rural.
rural farm.
So
Yeah.
Then you would be permitted.
Yeah,
No, okay, I was gonna say, because way back in the seventies, I took an old granary and put it into a hunting camp. So,
It's just a non-residential, so it's not, it's considered a dwelling, so it's under the non-residential, this is as a permitted use.
yeah, cause we only use it for 2 weeks out of the
Yeah,
year.
they call it hunt camps or fish camps.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just gonna say, well,
No, that is, spinach, doesn't say it.
Okay, and it's also listed.
Yeah, it's.
yeah, so that's why I brought it up, it's just,
Yeah, it's just as a non-residential.
okay.
It's not residential.
Okay, so everyone is good with that then?
So the next question regarding the open house is the public notice.
Well, I think it should be in the paper. Cause a lot of people don't have, like, see things on the, but do it on social media and,
On their website,
The
also.
website, social media, and the newspapers.
and I don't know if you wanna put, signs in the stores and that.
I can do that too.
Yeah, I would.
The alternative is a special mail out to all residents, which is a whole new ballgame.
That's very nice. What does municipalities normally do?
So as a staff. That I've been through this many times, we get comments and calls all the time, years after bylaws passed, saying nobody told me about this. So whenever asked by council what our recommendation is we try to like, it's nice to have a mail out that goes to all the ratepayers, because then you can say, when we pass this bylaw, every single ratepayer
Yeah.
might notice with it because we sent it out. So oftentimes we'll try to recommend if you have a tax mail out going at the same time, you can put it in there if the time works, but I believe talking with your staff, that's not possible in this case.
Unless council wanted to wait until you put the notice in the March tax mail,
Or you do that.
and you're pushing this whole process back.
Yeah,
But you don't have to. It is the options that we just discussed about bringing the paper and social media, that meets the requirements of the Planning Act, that will satisfy your requirements for advertising. So the mail out would be over and beyond the minimum.
So how many tax bills do we have? $3,000 times. So the cost you $3,000 in postage. Plus,
no,
Plus your staff time.
yeah,
So, yeah,
and your paper and.
So it really is up to the council whether you think that through the paper and the social media, will get the word out sufficiently, that will meet the.
On the website, you could just have a live link, right, to just click out, go straight to the shop.
yeah, if I can drop the master on the.
Yeah, and if they click on the,
It just takes a
they'll
lot of
take
time.
right to.
And we'll give you the link for the interactive format too, so they can.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go website, newspapers and socials.
yeah, I think that'd be the best.
How many weeks should it run in the papers?
One will meet the minimum, so it has to be minimum of one time, 20 days before the open house.
I would do it too.
That was gonna say-
Yeah, do it too.
We have to have it advertised by the 21st of January, so you want it run on the 14th and the 21st, or the 21st and the 28th?
21st meets here, and then you're giving people more of this.
Yeah.
Closer to, so you can figure that out.
That's what I was thinking, 21st and 28th.
So with the 10 municipalities you have, how many have you done since you've started the process? Have been completed?
Have been completed before. And, sorry, and 2 others did it on their own without using the county, so 6 have been.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's Brunel and Doc Raglan. We have Gordon, Addison Bromley, is very close to each other.
No.
No,
And not is. You're testing, yeah.
They're all in those ones there, the labs are all in the process of.
Yeah.
Different stages, so Addison Bromley is very close to being completed. Lurching Hills is very close there, yeah, both Lurching Hills and Norfolk and Ottawa, and Madison Bromley proceeded to their open house and public meeting as well because
At the
they're
same
open-
time.
It's gonna be a very busy January,
Yeah.
February first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to clear up the process for council, we're gonna have the open house, a week later, we're gonna do the public meeting, we're gonna receive our comments from the public at that time. And is that the time when council makes their decisions and then we bring it back for our March meeting for passing, or how is that process?
Up to council, so it depends on the comments you receive. If we hold a public meeting and nobody shows up and there's nothing to consider, then you can pass the bylaw anytime after that public meeting. So if you receive a whole bunch of comments or you want information back from staff to look at a specific issue, we can bring back whatever information you want to help with it.
So lucky as to not have any time possible.
Yeah.
So we're in your hands for whatever suits you best based on everyone sort of say what the process used to be because we don't know what the public's gonna say.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's a
Different ways.
very important issue.
It is.
You know, it affects people's lives and you have to be mindful of that. So,
And I think it's a big issue of education for the public too, right?
yeah,
It's for the public and for council too. Yeah.
We haven't gone through it in a long time. So I don't think anybody else was part of that.
And we had talked about this before, and I don't think council brought this up, is there a grace period or a transition period after passing?
reform.
I mean, it's only going for, changes only happen going forward, because everything else is grandfathered in, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all.
There-
Yeah, there's a big legal non
Yeah.
There is an appeal period after you pass it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So there's only one portion of the bylaw that has a transitional clause, and that's at the beginning with regards to minor variances. So if somebody received a minor variance, for example, over the last year, and they got permission to reduce, to build something and have a reduced setback. We built in that transition, I think it was for 2 years, I can't think, remember the exact time, but we built in a transition saying, if you had received a minor variance under the old bylaw, that would be acknowledged or respected, you know, that
Through the process, that's right.
through the process. Because normally without that, as soon as you pass the new bylaw, that old bylaw is gone, you repeal that old bylaw, and so
Yeah.
any minor variances that were included under that old bylaw are also gone. So
they're gone,
they're no longer applicable because the bylaws.
but they'd be legal non-conforming.
Well,
Yes.
Page 8.
8?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said 18.
Yeah,
So
it's 18 minutes.
18 months is the transitional. So if somebody received a minor variance, they have that 18 months to use that minor variance conditions up there again before it's ready to expires.
Send me the notice and I'll get it to the papers when you're.
Yeah. You send me the location. And then I'll have it.
For the open house, 22 Burgers, I'll send it in.
And the company is. We're going to say that.
Yes, public being said this.
It's time to. I don't take it.
I think that's all we had. Thank you very much for having us.
Well, thank you.
How you ever going?
I'm glad to see we're getting it on the road. Hopefully we can be done by the end of this year so that you're not crossing over into another council.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
hopefully we'll have it done before the lane dump period as well.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice to hear. So that's why I think we're in a whole bunch of municipalities are all in the same crunch, like looking at the saying, oh, we need to get it done by before summer. Right?
Well, this year is silly season.
So ideally it'll be done, we're trying to get them done completely before summer is the time frame most municipalities are shooting for.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Thank you so much.
There we go, that's it, that's a good information.
The safe drive back.
Thank you. It was snowing on the top of the limb.
Always is, yeah.
It's always there, yeah. Oh, actually, we started to snow.
There's lots of snow up there.
Yes, right, there was Paul's place, I was aware the snow was.
Yeah. We've had snow since hunting season on the ground, we're not,
Yeah.
it's never left.
Friday it'll be all gone. No.
No.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Hey, it's supposed to go up about 7 with rain. Yeah.
On to the minutes. You have a resolution of the council for corporation of the township of Blue Mountain, Dock and Raglan. Hereby adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of December 3rd, 2025 as presented. Can I get a move for that, please? Moved by Councilor Keller, seconded by Councilor Banks. Any comments, questions, concerns?
Just in the present, we missed Councillor Calthorpe.
Yeah.
So she was here. Was,
Yeah.
I missed that on the.
I wasn't.
Remember and seconder, in favor of the amending those minutes to include Councilor Papa in attendance.
Yeah, and fine.
I was here on the 3rd.
Yes, yes, you were.
Yeah, I know.
Apologies.
That's all said. So everybody's okay with that?
Yeah.
I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? None. The motion is carried. Committee and staff reports. We have a resolution, the CDO, that we council for the corporation of the township of Blue Mountain, Dock and Raglan hereby accept the CDO staff report as information only. Can I get a mover for that, please? Second. Moved by Councilor Capel, seconded by Councilor Quan. And we have the report. It's interesting.
That seems very constant year to year.
Yeah, it seems to be, eh? Actually, your septic permits are going up, probably.
Just an old
So
septic's needing
many of
replaced.
those are being replaced. Any other questions or comments? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed, and none, the motion is carried. Public Works report.
So I just have a verbal for you tonight, in regards to the plow truck. It's problem for us.
Yeah.
Freightliner did agree to refund us and, they have picked up the vehicle. So moving forward, we have secured, a surplus truck from the county this year. So we're getting it on the road. We also have a spare loaner truck from the county right now to kind of tie us in. So we get on our feet with the surplus truck. Steps going forward, I have worked with, Jim Corp through the canoe procurement program to secure the plow gear for our next truck. And, I wanted to do that, before New Year and the prices changed, so we were able to secure the same pricing as August of, was going forward. I'm going to do the same with the cabin chassis, so we're looking at this process a little differently. Instead of doing a whole new tender, we're going to use the canoe procurement program and put it together piece by piece, basically. So our next step is to nail it on cabin chassis, what we want, and move forward with that. So
Is that gonna be?
well, it's fairly easy. We have.
Oh, okay, so it's not like.
We just have to determine whether we want international or we want to try Freightliner again or another brand.
Okay.
So,
It's not like you're scrounging here and then over.
no. So, I want to sit down with a couple of the providers and see if they have to offer us. And I think we might be able to get some cost savings through the program as well. So they're looking at that too.
And just to clarify, for those who aren't familiar with the LAS and canoe procurement, It avoids us having to issue an RFP as per our procurement bylaw because they've already done the tendering processes through that program.
Yeah.
So we are ensuring the best value and the best purchasing.
A lot of municipalities are using that now, the counties use that.
The county uses it.
Yep. And so
It does save some time.
it saves time, it's a nice tool.
Yeah.
You do get it's kind of a loop buying power.
Yeah,
So that's where we're gonna see some, there's no savings on the plow gear itself. But we are anticipating seeing some savings on the gather chassis.
We use LASCQ for numerous different aspects of the day-to-day life, even at Napa. We're through the good procurement, so we get a better deal. We take advantage of it where we can.
Yeah. So that's where we're at, it's going to take upwards of approximately 4 months to get the plow gear in, and I'm not sure about cab chassis, could be in 4 months. So
well, right now,
maybe
you don't really have to time to the head because you've got an interim solution, so
Yeah.
gives you time to plan it and do the work thing, so.
Right, yeah.
No, it's good, it's a good path forward because it does give you the time. And usually you have the interim solution, so now you're not panicked trying to do something. No, that sounds good.
I think the girls are happy, they're going to shoot in their financing if we. Adam is able to transfer to the new one, so we don't have to go through that process again. So that's all good. No,
Okay.
that's where we're at.
On to review of waste management bylaw.
So as you can see, our waste management bylaw is 2016-30. There's been numerous changes since this bylaw was passed, so it does need to be updated anyway. One of the big reasons is because of the blue box transitioning. Seeing as we are updating it, if council wishes to make any changes, now would be the time to do so. I know we offer a free bag of garbage with every bag of recycling. If that's something council wants to keep in effect, if you want to change bag tag rates or tipping fees rates. It'd be best to do it while we're updating this bylaw anyway.
I can't get over the reduction in garbage.
It is substantial.
Unreal. Like I would say my garbage has been cut probably by 60%.
Well, no, if you really recycle,
Well, I
you
do,
virtually have no garbage going out the door, like in the city years ago.
well, if you compost
Yeah.
it, but I don't compost. I did that until I found the sneak in the compost.
And because of more recycling, we are not going to have much of any tipping fee or bag tag sales. Because of the higher volume of recycling.
Yeah.
And we do have a landfill expansion that will be coming up in. Within. I'm gonna say approximately 15 years, so we're gonna be starting.
On that.
Right now, so we started in the next 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna start getting sooner or later, get that out of the way.
Will we get it on that expansion, then really be 5 times.
If you do some studies to see if we're able to do it, and there's the land there, but it's just the type of land, it's not.
Yeah, that back piece was procured years ago, but whether it's suitable and
land.
And even those studies cost a lot of them to stuff.
or look at other.
Well, I don't think we get much in tipping fees at the done.
In comparison to other townships, they all range in between $2 and $3 a bag tag, and nobody else offers a free bag for recycling. I would have to dig deeper for, C and D, construction demolition, I don't have those numbers off right now.
Yeah.
I do know we are on the cheaper end of the scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, in previous studies,
So we don't sell all the bags now?
not a lot.
Okay.
And most people pay cash at the site,
Yeah.
which is recorded and
Yep.
separated at the site for something, but
Okay.
yeah, not a lot.
So we're just kind of going, yeah.
Well, in my experience going to Brudenell, most people are coming with more recycling than garbage. When I go there on a Saturday,
What's the council's feeling?
I'm not sure how far off we are. We were pretty close in alignment with where I used to go in our part. Because I used to haul similar amounts of junk in a renovated house down there to what I do up here, so tipping fees were pretty close.
Yeah.
I just don't, but that's a few years ago. I don't know how
Yeah,
far
when I
off
did
we are.
my kitchen too, like, I had a couple of trailer loads and.
I just don't know what everyone else is charging. I also don't know. I never looked.
Would you like me to bring more information back to the next regular meeting with the comparisons of tipping fees?
And maybe think about if we want to do bag tags. I think we're probably the only municipality that doesn't do bag, just like charge for bag.
Well, we do charge per bag, but
But
every
it's-
bag,
you get
every bag
it, right.
recycling, which nobody does that.
Yeah, nobody does that.
Nobody does that.
But that was to help encourage recycling.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
And then if you look at it on the other end, if they're not giving a free bag of recycling, you're still encouraging recycling, because the less garbage recycling they're putting in their garbage, the less they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So either way, you're still, yeah,
Positive.
I will bring back the report next week.
Okay.
And I mean, just the people that will do the extra recycling is going to help our recycling.
Oh, no, it extends the life.
Yeah, like.
That's the beauty of it, right?
And like just an example, like with the water softener, the bags of salt, you couldn't recycle those bags.
Well, I used to take my bags back to the city where I couldn't recycle.
Yeah.
But it was kind of weird. I'd bring my plastic bags back to the city because I couldn't understand why we couldn't recycle here, but.
No, junk food bags and birdseed bags, like all of that, you couldn't
No,
recycle.
it's nice. I saw the new list. It's like, wow, this is great.
Yeah,
It's really put a lot of additions to what we're allowed to recycle
Yeah.
out here. Whoever takes the time to have a quick look, almost everything can be recycled.
if it's clean,
Yeah.
that's the other side of the coin, people don't want to clean that.
Yeah, I used to we always washed our recycling and when I was in Ottawa all the time, you have to keep everything clean.
Yeah,
It's just a habit. It's a
yeah,
habit.
like I too, when you dump
Just rinse it out.
every can in the jar, you rinse it out. And if it won't rinse out, put it in the dishwasher. Okay, so you'll come back with more information for us? Okay. That sounds good.
But yeah, it's just really good information seeing that the extra recycling stuff. I was happy when I was at the dump on, I don't know, maybe it was last Friday or something. Got the new peacemakers like, oh, this is great. Then
So,
when I went to the dump on Saturday, I had a whole bunch more things I could recycle. That normally would go into the garbage.
yeah. So is Miller doing our pickup too?
Everything's transitioned and they've done their first cleanup yesterday and today. It looks like we're going to be doing a weekly pickup.
Probably have to, if you know, that you can do.
And if reduce
The
the
bins,
bins,
are filling quick. I was.
well, that was just with the transition itself. Yeah.
So do we still take stuff then, are they working through with Redford? That the,
Where's the lead, they go do all the valley waste. There. Like last now in Terra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's all the valleys where they're going to, but I can't say that for sure. Okay. But again, that's out of our hands.
That's interior.
And even any questions about what's recyclable, we just refer them to
Yeah.
recycling material. So,
I've seen, someone posted one of the municipalities, I think it was from the Valley, that if they had any questions to contact Miller Reese.
That's regarding, so they have curbside pickup,
Yeah.
and they have issues with that, they're contact Miller Waste.
Yeah,
If it's a recycling question, then it's certain material.
okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, correspondence. We have a resolution that we, the council for the corporation of the township of Blue Mountain, Dr. Ragland, hereby accept the correspondence as circulated. Did I get a mover for that, please? Everybody can have a bank, second to five. Okay, Councillor Kelly. So, is anybody interested in supporting this?
I think A2 we should support,
Which,
A2,
oh,
or sorry, 10-2.
10-2. Yeah, no, that's good.
I think we should support that one big time.
And then I was reading through 10-6 as well.
Yeah, that's the plan
That's something
down.
important.
Yeah, I had that one down too,
yes,
and I had down 10-5 to increase funding.
Is everybody all in favor of 10-5?
I think that's more,
City.
it's more through AMO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like the AMO, and the Warden's caucuses and then lobby for that kind of thing.
Okay.
Closer to our constituents would be support for steel and lumber sectors, right?
Yeah, that's what I was
We should
thinking.
really throw some support in there.
Yeah,
You know, our industry around here is
this would,
still around wood.
Yeah.
Ten seven.
so 10-2, 10,
10-6.
and 10-7.
Yep.
Okay,
Friendly amendment is okay with the mover and seconder? Councillor Grace and Councillor Kelly?
I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, none, the motion is carried. Okay. Now we go to 11, letter of support to solve the crisis and winter homeless program. On top. Oh. Be it resolved that the council for the corporation of the township of Brunel and Ogden Ragland support the town of Ajax's resolution regarding solve prices and winter homelessness program support as attached. And further that this resolution be forwarded to the Premium of Ontario, Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, MPP, and all municipalities in Ontario. Can I get a mover to that, please? Moved by Councillor Plot, seconded by Councillor Banks. Any comments or questions? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed, none, the motion is carried. Letter of support for affordable rental housing. Be it resolved that the council for the corporation of the township of Brunel and Ogden Ragland support the municipality of Wawa's resolution regarding affordable rental housing as attached. And that this be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, MPP, and MT, and all municipalities in Ontario. You can then move for that, please. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Hopwell, seconded by Councillor Plot. Any comments or questions? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed, none, the motion is carried. Letter of support removing GST, HST from new homes to support housing affordability. Be it resolved that the council corporation of the township of Brunel, Lindog, and Ragland support the town of Bradford, West, and Rome Buries resolution regarding removing HST, GST from new homes to support housing affordability as attached. And that this resolution be forwarded to the Prime Minister of Canada, Minister of Finance, and the Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities, the Premier of Ontario, the Ontario Minister of Finance, the Ontario Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, our local MP and MPP, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all municipalities in Ontario. They get a mover for that, please. Moved by Council Banks, seconded by Council Quad. Any comments, questions, concerns? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? None. The motion is carried. Council discussion regarding minimum maintenance standards, public works. I had asked that this be placed on the agenda. One of our snowstorms, I'm not sure which one, they seem to be day after day. There was a Facebook post where someone invited me to meet them at 6 o'clock on top of the, I don't know what you call it, we call it Tenants Hill. To go down with that morning, if I was brave enough when she had to go to work. And, you know, like, and I got another text, and these are repeated, usually the same people. But they're getting really crazy. Good morning. I'm sorry to always reach out to complain, but are all of our plows broken in our township? Every year it's the same thing. Our township roads are poorly maintained, and there is no accountability held to Jordan or the staff. Is there any reason why everyone tippy toes around him and will not hold him accountable to making sure that roads are cleared for safety? I know in the past you've told me that you will report these complaints, but is anybody being held accountable? What is going on in our township? How do we make sure that our roads are safe this year so that we don't have to go through the same crap this year? Winter is only starting. I'm sure if you check Facebook, you will see the multiple complaints again this year. It's embarrassing. And then I said, thanks for the concern. I make sure it was brought forward at the next meeting, and the response is, thank you, but again, nothing. So we have a road standard bylaw, right? For maintenance.
We passed it in 2023. It's a
And-
direct reflection of the minimum maintenance standards as passed by the province that every municipality follows. This is our guidelines.
Yeah.
This is what we follow.
So, yeah,
Accountability wise, this is our data.
and you're accountable to that bylaw. So- Different roads have different level of standards, right?
So within our municipality, I would say 80% of our roads are actually class 6 roads. Which, if you got down to the nitty gritty of it, the municipality isn't even obligated to winter maintain. However, within this bylaw, we have chosen that if anybody's living on such a road, that we would treat it as a class 5 road. So class 5 road, and then in the snowfall aspect of things, you are allowed up to a 10-centimeter buildup, which is 4 inches. And it gives us 24 hours after becoming aware of the fact that there's 10 centimeters on the ground. It gives us 24 hours to have the roads back to below standard. So we could have, for example, 2 or 3 days of snow. You know, a couple centimeters this day, a couple centimeters that day. And by the end of the week, maybe we have 10 centimeters of buildup. We technically don't have to do anything with our roads until that 10 centimeters is achieved. We'll take today, for example, there was an inch of snow on the ground where roads were plowed and sanded. So in my mind, we're quite well above our standards. So And then there are times where we will declare a significant weather event
Exactly,
in conjunction generally with the county of Renfrew
exactly.
and other municipalities, not just Renfrew County, but all across Ontario.
Yeah.
And I'd like to read this to you. I received this came through from this Association of Ontario Road Supervisors. And this came through just before our last ice storm. So I'll read it. And it gives you a little bit of insight on significant weather events, why they're declared, and what they do. So as the kitchen sink storm covers the province of Ontario, bringing snow, ice, freezing rain, high winds, and rapidly changing conditions, municipal staff are once again being asked to do everything, everywhere, all at once. During complex winter storms like these, Ontario municipalities should strongly consider declaring a significant weather event under Ontario Regulation 23902, which is the minimum maintenance standards for municipal highways. While this declaration does not remove a municipality's responsibility to maintain the roads, it provides important context, flexibility, and legal clarity during extraordinary conditions. Under the regulation, municipalities are required to meet specific timelines for winter maintenance activities such as snow clearing and ice control. However, when weather conditions are severe or unpredictable, such as during a prolonged snowfall, mixed precipitation, extreme cold, repeated freeze-thaw cycles, meeting those standards may not be realistic or safe. Declaring a significant weather event acknowledges that weather conditions are beyond normal or beyond the normal expected. Road maintenance crews are responding as best as practicable under the circumstances, and minimum maintenance standard timelines may not be achievable until conditions improve. From a liability perspective, a significant weather event, the declaration is particularly important. While it does not provide blanket immunity, it can be a critical factor in defending claims by demonstrating that the municipality recognizes the severity of the event, reasonable steps were taken, as available resources and conditions allowed. Any delays in meeting the minimum maintenance standards were directly related to the extraordinary weather. Equally important are the operational and human impacts. Declaring a significant weather event helps manage public expectations and reinforces that crews may need to prioritize main roads, emergency routes, and critical infrastructure. Staff must remain a priority during hazardous conditions, and continuous operations during prolonged storms have real physical and mental impact on municipal employees. Follow the legislation when significant weather events include monitoring the weather, and when weather advisory is issued by Environment Canada for your area, notify the public through your municipal website or social media, which we do. We maintain detailed logs of maintenance activities and decisions taken, and lifting the declaration once conditions allow minimum maintenance standard compliance to resume, and proper notification to the public when it's lifted, which we do. Winter storms are becoming more intense, less predictable, and more demanding on municipal resources. Declaring a significant weather event is not an admission of failure. It is a responsible, transparent, and defendable step that supports staff, protects the municipality, and communicates clearly with the public during extreme conditions.
I know on New Year's Eve, down where Rhonda lives, they pulled the plows off the roads at 10 o'clock because it wasn't safe for them to be out with the blowing the snow. And they resumed in the morning again. That's about daylight, but
Yeah, when you're in whiteout conditions, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
they, and my other thought on that is, if it's that bad, what are you doing on the road? Like, if it was me, I would be staying at home because you're looking for trouble, but unless it's an emergency, you know.
Yes, it is understandable. People do need to make it work, and there are
Yeah,
critical positions that rely on those people.
yeah,
Like I said, I've had a number of phone calls in the evening and on the weekends and stuff too. And like I say to these individuals, how do you think our plow guys get to work? If nobody has the road open for them. You know, you need to realize where you're living, you need to prepare yourself, you know, whether it's be four-wheel drive or winter tires. You need to be prepared. So you need to help yourself, help us. Man,
So what time, if there's been a significant snowfall overnight, what time do the guys start out in the morning?
I would bring them in an hour early, so usually around 5 o'clock they start.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
And there's times, you know, if you get a little bit of precipitation on the weekend that requires some attention, might not meet the standard completely, we still send out skeleton crew to deal with some of the main roads. We do have only one class 4 road in the municipality, and that's Letterkenny, which allows us up to 8 centimeters of buildup. And gives us 16 hours to navigate. Which we are always well within that time frame, and generally the amount on it. Yeah. So,
I've gotten a couple complaints about Letterkenny too, but I mean, why not pull the main highway? The
It's-
county,
And you know,
why not Letterkenny?
it's just a handful. And it's the same ones. So why does all the other, it's probably 1% of the people, so why does the other 99%? But it, you know, when they start backing again, like it's all our plow road. You know, like I had a lady ask me one night too, like, does the township own graders? A grader? Yeah, we have one. Well, do we have someone to operate it? It's like, that's very,
If the only time we take the grader is if it's a rip ice.
in winter, it's,
Yeah, it's the only time. It's the one time we bring our graders out is if we have to rip ice, so we put the rippers on the,
yeah.
but I mean, that's, again, that's not the normal, but that's the only time that they would.
Well, this was in the summer for grading,
Oh, okay.
but, you know, like. I can count on one hand. In the 3 years that I've been here. Of the number of people. That have complained about our service. And I can guarantee it's probably only 3 or 4 people.
No, honestly, in defense of the staff, they do a good job. I believe we are probably following the rule and above the rule.
I'd say we're above.
And I drive a lot of places, I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
I feel our township roads are probably better than a lot of the roads.
I had somebody tell me that one time.
But I drive all over I mean, I'm all over the place. I come home, our roads are in better shape.
Yeah.
Well, in defense of what you guys do.
Well, I just wanted to have it brought up in the public meeting.
Yeah.
And discuss
just
because,
the way that things worked in the past.
It's
There
different.
wasn't a uniform system, that's right. So parts of the municipality were being serviced more frequently than others. And we made things uniform, and that's where we're seeing some of the kickback is varied.
well, and it's not just that, look at the plowing at the community center that the council didn't even know was happening.
But we have to be fiscally responsible. That's one of the reasons we're doing that.
And that's the whole thing.
I talk to people all the time about it and I say, listen, we can do more.
Yeah.
Would you like us to raise taxes 15 or 20% so I can come up with the money to hire more people, find more.
So we can have shift work.
That's right.
But I mean, we just, there's only
We
so much we
simply
can do.
cannot afford it. And
With
if you want
with doing what we're doing with the tax numbers, you're doing a good job. I feel we're doing a good job.
And the thing is, like, you gotta realize, this isn't. We've had winters every year and bad roads to drag on all our lives. And I think the comment I got from one guy that heard another guy complain was, he said, you're not gonna have summer roads in the winter.
No,
It's as simple as that. And everybody's gotta be a little patient, and like you say, you gotta be prepared.
yeah,
So I have a 4x4 and I have winter tires.
That's one of the reasons why back is what they did, they mandated winter tires for everyone.
when I worked, like I was never close to home, I was either in Barry's Bay or Renford. And I drove a 4-wheel drive with winter tires in the winter, because I knew I wouldn't get to the highway. If I didn't have it, let alone worrying if the road was bad. And I mean, I push snow at the bumper of my truck on the highway. So it's a part of living in this
Yeah.
part of the area.
As far as Jordan knows, I know I live a long ways from the township office and sometimes it's a long time before a plow truck. Pretty much truck in a storm, happens and, you know, I go up the road with my half ton on the four-wheeler and I start cutting trees off the road myself.
Yeah,
That's, I did it all my life and what we do about this.
I mean, we all do the same, if somebody says that there's a tree down, usually you just go get it off the road.
Exactly.
We've all done that, and I don't think that will really change.
No.
You know, unless there's some risk to someone's safety, whether it's because of hydro or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you might not cut it, some people might, but I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen it done,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
people do that.
Yeah.
And that's part of community as well.
That's American, and rural living, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
well,
honestly, the work that the road crew are doing, it's good work. I think
Yeah.
we're above the standard.
like I don't get involved with that stuff. Like I said, I thanked her for her concern that I would bring it to attention here, but, it's not worth getting into trying to explain because they're not looking for an explanation.
And the drivers also have to follow the rule of public hours, right? So the hours.
drive with it.
So we have a lot of different factors. Mind you, that safety is important for everyone. The driver is no different than the people that drive the roads.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's not just here, it's everywhere, like, there's other townships, you know, far away from here, they're saying the same thing, they just can't keep ahead of the snow this year because they have way more snow than we do. And people, no matter how hard you try, you'll always have someone that doesn't work for, I mean, I really do believe that you guys are doing a good job.
This has been an unreal winter. I cannot believe. I said to Kevin coming in, I'm hoping it's gonna be like 2012. We're gonna get spring in March. Okay, we have a letter to council from Martin regarding Monnison Lake.
Pass that over to Virginia.
It's been so long since I've been back there.
Never been along.
I mean,
Hey,
I just don't. I
Never
can't
been
visualize.
along.
I can't visualize.
it goes right back to Little Ireland.
No, I mean, I've been through there too, but it's been so long, I can't
This-
I was
visualize.
through it this
I
year.
know, I have everything memorized to the end of the lake.
Yeah.
To pass there, I don't have good memory of that.
This road, we made a decision on a couple years ago, how far we were going to maintain it, correct?
I can give you the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've.
So again, this is 2023, as part of this bylaw,
Yes, I remember that.
we looked at that and the end of the year-round maintenance was always at a specific location.
Yeah.
However, staff were bugged or asked or whatnot to go a little further down. And,
And then
it wasn't every storm, it was, we had a big snowfall, they would go in and open the road. And that was fine. But the road is not, it's still not suitable for our equipment. It's hard on our equipment to get in and out. A lot of work needs to be done to upgrade it, to make it more user friendly. But this was brought back to the table again in 2024 and council decided at that time to extend the normal year-round maintenance area to where the boat launch is.
Yeah, the trainer was.
I've never been in there, so it's the 514 up top or
Yeah.
Up top?
Yeah, we can see it on the spot.
Okay.
Not in there, but it's out. So, originally, this is where the road was fully maintained to.
That was a production.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
During, the winter, they would continue on in here and I have, it was 4 kilometers. An additional 4 kilometers that was periodically maintained. So in 2024, council decided to move the new year-round maintained area to this turnaround here where this cuts off goes in this blue.
Sorry,
That's okay.
trying to zoom in to see.
So this is the boat launch area.
That's right.
Okay. There are a number of cottage properties along Modest Lake on this side as well. There's a few developments along the backside here as well. So that's why the decision was made to stop here to service most of our residents year round. However, we have one additional resident who has a cottage down further. So what they're requesting, and since 2024, they've been plowing from here into the cottage themselves. In this stretch, there's some pretty significant upgrade and a lot of corners, but it doesn't make it fun to try and get it run up the hills. So this stretch here, they are requesting, and this is basically where the property line starts. They're requesting that we turn around that their property, which is an additional 600 meters. So I was approached by the gentleman, or one of our operators was approached by the gentleman. Assuming some of our counselors were approached by the gentleman.
I didn't think so.
And
I know I was last year, remember?
I told him the best solution for this is it's a council decision, and if you want to go any further, then he needs to approach council. So here we are.
What is council's decision on this?
I would say no at this time. I mean, he used to have to plow all the way from Winooski's and
Yeah.
already X amount of.
And 600 meters isn't all
I
that
mean,
much.
it is only a cottage, it's seasonal, it's not like a permanent residence, so priority.
And to bring that road up to something where you wouldn't damage your vehicle.
And you're gonna have to do some maintenance on that road regardless in the summer. So,
But if we make an exception here,
Yeah, but you break that a little once a year, don't you?
Yeah.
You do it not?
Once a year.
Yeah.
I think that if it's not good for our town trucks and that, we shouldn't be putting it in there. We're,
at this time, I think it's.
I mean, we made a decision and if we do this, we're setting precedent. I mean, we had a request back there for, well, what was that one? Hartford, yeah. And we said no.
yeah,
So if we start, doing this, we're gonna be plowing all tons of little path paths. And it's not safe for our drivers either, if there's all kinds of curves and,
Probably a lot of
It's
rushes.
just like forest access.
Well, we've gone ahead and we've brushed a lot of that. Even the piece from Delroy's Inn is not, it's not fun.
Well, no, there's that great big hill there and it's a steep hill.
Right where that 90, those 290
Yeah,
corners there.
that's right.
Those are treacherous.
That's right.
Basically on that corner and you're straight up the hill. You have no chance to get a run out of it. If you did slide on the hill, you've got nowhere to go. So you're,
Over.
well, you're in trouble, so. Even to the boat launch is not ideal, but going that much further is even more,
Cause he even states he has a hard time going up the hill.
well, that's what he's trying to plow with a pickup truck,
Yeah.
so he's having a hard time on the hills.
But, yeah,
I think his request is more to do it like we did in the old days in that piece. We wouldn't do it all along, just a periodic. It's council's decision. I'm not getting involved.
yeah, but if you don't do it all the time, depends on how much, snow is built up on it. Your plow truck isn't gonna take it off the road either. So. It'd have to be done after every storm.
We would have to maintain it to the standard.
Would have my,
That's right.
So once there is 10 centimeter buildup on it, we would have to plow off, if not, now we're.
But even
We have
before,
liability issues.
even before that, the road kind of brought up the codes, we don't wreck the trucks down. So for now, I think we just leave it as is. That'd be my, that'd be my choice.
Yeah, because we said no to one already.
Yeah. Not at this time, anyway.
Do you need a motion for that?
One can do that.
I think we do. We have a big plan.
I mean, we're going to the boat launch, that change, that's just.
Well, I was to look at the right and
I am, I've only been in as far as the grade here.
Never.
I've gone in there a few times.
we'll have to go in there for a drive.
If we go,
Yeah.
lots of risks to get in there with the four-wheel drive.
He sold it, right?
All the way through. Now it's plowed.
I've never been visiting Ireland, no, either.
I was going there.
That's-
We'll go right through some of that.
That's far enough from 514 over to Little Ireland.
But you ever go to somebody's house in there, absolutely.
I remember somebody going to tell somebody other that their GPS took them out to go to Bangkok.
There's a number
I've
of
never been down my
calls in there later.
The person that I'm thinking of, they were on the trip.
initially, all the time.
That was the one they were asking, why, no, you grew up here, who'd you follow your GPS?
Wow.
Next year, when we travel our roads, we'll go through, Little Ireland.
We'll make a spring
That's what I mean.
tour and we're gonna go for another
Yeah,
road trip.
we'll go through from, 514 and through Little Ireland there.
Okay, I've never been on a
Drive.
I've never been all the way through.
I've been in Moccasin Lake Road and come out up here.
Well, the Burning Road.
Yeah, you came through the Pinery then, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you turned at the boat launch, where the boat launch was, and you went in through there.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the Pinery. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of trails in there. But we, oh, you know.
So do you want me to, see that from there?
No, I think nothing about that.
Oh, that's fine.
Just want to make sure everybody's started.
Makes sense.
Should be ready.
So we have a resolution of council for the corporation of the township of Brunel and Dock and Raglan, hereby direct staff to continue winter maintenance to the current location as was determined in 2024. And the staff notify the resident that there will be no changes at this time. Can I get a mover for that, please? Move by Councillor Banks, seconded by Councillor Kell. Any comments, discussion? Call for a vote, all those in favor?
Yes,
Opposed? None, the motion is given. Okay, on we go to, oh yeah, the Laura Levi, that is.
Financial station.
Okay,
Financial.
financial reports first.
oh, let's get over them.
They look fine.
Okay, the financials. That we, the council for the corporation of the township of Greenell and Dog and Raglan, accept the year-to-date budget variance and the monthly expenses summary is presented. Could I get a mover for that? I'm going to move by Councillor Capel, seconded by Councillor Floyd. Any comments or questions?
Looks pretty good rolling off on kind of the development on fire.
Well, it's our first. This was to the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Here, finished.
Yeah,
But it looks like we'll be in pretty good shape.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So, when does, Wilton?
I'm assuming probably the end of the month.
Yeah.
One big thing with the fire department, you don't see the revenue side of this, so, all of the invoices that were sent over the MVCs,
Yeah,
that comes through once you get the,
Yeah.
final budget.
yeah, because you did offset it. Yeah,
That truck purchase later on.
Yeah,
You're up for.
yeah,
but still, it's not all that far.
No,
The number isn't that big.
it's just, so if you
So when we look at the monthlies in June, there was no leasing deducted for June. Is there a reason for that?
Just missed invoices on their part,
No.
sending, we've had issues all year with them sending invoices there. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. So anything else on that? No?
Vote looks good.
Okay, I'll call for the vote, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, none, motion's carried. Now, or only by that, the base. This is a standard thing we do
Every year.
every year. So that until we get tax money coming in,
Mhm.
if we run short on funds, they just advance it. That we, the council for the corporation of the township of Brunel, Lindop and Raglan hereby adopts bylaw 2026-01 being a bylaw to confirm the borrowing of $400,000 to meet until the taxes are collected. The current expenditures of the corporation for the year having been introduced and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Can I get a mover for that, please? Moved by Councillor Keller, second by Councillor Banks. Any comments or questions? Call for the vote, all those in favor? Opposed, none, the motion is carried. We have a bylaw to authorize our interim tax levies. The lead council for the corporation of the township of Brunel, Lindop and Raglan hereby adopts bylaw 2026-02, being a bylaw to provide for interim taxes for the year 2026 for the township of Brunel, Lindop and Raglan, having been read first, second, and third time and finally passed. Can I get a mover for that, please? Moved by Councillor Caulfield, seconded by Councillor Banks. Any comments or questions? I'll call for the vote, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, none, the motion is carried. Big one, you said in March. Oops. Being a bylaw to appoint municipal officers, set salaries, mileage, and benefits for council and municipal employees. Sorry about that, very bad, because I fell asleep in the morning. That we, the council for the corporation of the township of Brunel, Lindop and Raglan hereby adopts bylaw 2026-03, being a bylaw to amend Schedule A of bylaw 2024-23 to appoint municipal officers and set salaries, mileage, and benefits for council and all municipal employees, having been read first, second, and third time and finally passed. Can I get a mover for that, please? Moved by Councillor Quad, seconded by Councillor Keller. Any comments or questions? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, none, the motion is carried. Vote by mail bylaw, we have a resolution. That we, the council for the corporation of the township of Brunel, Lindop and Raglan hereby adopts bylaw 2026-04, being a bylaw to authorize voting by vote by mail for the 2026 municipal elections, having been read first, second, and third time and finally passed. So, can I get a mover for that, please? Moved by Councillor Banks, seconded by seconded by Councillor Caulfield. Any comments, questions? Okay. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, none, the motion is carried. That was the best thing that ever came in was that whole plan. Those properties, you have no idea the abuse. It was like they was in proxies into me that had been signed in July. When people were up here, just, and you could only appoint someone to vote for you by proxy after nomination day closed, so you know there was an election there. Oh, it was under. Okay. We'll have a resolution. The meeting council for the corporation of Township of Brunel and Open Islands. Going to close session pursuant to the municipal act 2001, section 239 sub 2. For the purposes of subsection B, personnel matters about an identifiable individual. And subsection F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Gonna get an over for that, please. Move by Councilor, thanks, second by Councilor Lee. Any comments or questions? I'll call for the vote, all those in favor,
Yes.
opposed, none, the resolution is carried. Okay. We have a resolution, the council comes out of the close at 9:19 p.m. Could I get a mover for that, please? Moved by Councilor Paul, second by Councilor Plot. Any comments or questions? Call for the vote, all those in favor?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Welcome back to our public portion of our meeting. In closed session, council received confidential information regarding identifiable individual and information regarding a legal matter. We will move to our resolution that council for the corporation of the township of Brunel, Lindop and Raglan hereby direct the clerk treasurer to proceed with direction given in close. Moved by Councilor Banks, seconded by Councilor Popel. Any comments or questions? Call for the vote, all those in favor? Opposed, none, the motion is carried. We have a resolution for the confirmation bylaw. That we, the council of the corporation of the township of Brunel, Lindop and Raglan hereby adopts bylaw 2026-05, being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the January 7, 2026 regular meeting of council having been read first, second, and third time and final to pass. Moved by Councilor Banks, seconded by Councilor Quad. Any comments or questions? Call for the vote, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, none, the motion is carried. And we have a resolution that this meeting adjourns at 9:20 p.m. moved by Councilor Quad, seconded by Councilor Banks. All those in favor? Opposed, none, the motion is carried.